New characters enter the world of myth, ready to begin their adventures and learn how to create their own stories and legends. Hi, I'm Ross Watson. I am the lead designer of Myth Tales of Legend.
And I'm J.M. DeFogie, and I am the lead writer of Myth Tales of Legend.
And today we've got a pretty interesting episode. We're going to be doing character creation. I will first guide JM through making a character for Myth Tales of Legend, and then he will do the same for me. I have a feeling this is going to be pretty fun. I know we've talked about having different characters before, like in certain shows we said, oh, I'd like to play this or I'd like to play that. And we'll see if that actually happens. or if we have changed our minds or if something new has come up. So JM, are you ready? Are you ready to begin your journey?
I am. And I already know kind of what I want to play. It's sort of like when you go to an Italian restaurant and you get like the lasagna as kind of your baseline for how do they handle a classic. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go with kind of my normal first character in any sort of game. So I'm ready when you are.
All right. So what species? The first step in character creation is choose your species. What species would you like to play?
All right. So I'm definitely going to play a human.
That is different than what we've discussed.
I know. We've been focusing on all of the very unique things about myth, but for me, either a human or an elven fighter is sort of my bread and butter. I love that. I just love that character archetype in most games. So we're gonna go with a human soldier from Blackwall, I think.
Well, you don't know. I was gonna say, are you male or female?
I'm gonna go with a male character.
Okay. And as a human, you're gonna get a +1 attribute of your choice. We'll do that when we get to attributes.
Okay.
You're also gonna get +1 skill of your choice, which is again something we'll get to a little bit later, and you get a talent.
Awesome.
So, yeah, those are things that you start at speed 4, which is pretty reasonable. And you say you want to be from Blackwall. That's great. Although we will have a background section where we will talk more about that as well.
Oh yes.
I'm just keeping a record here so we don't forget anything.
Nice.
Okay, so now the second step, now that you've chosen you're going to be a human, is to pick your archetype. And we have 12 of those, which we've talked about on the show. By the way, check out our discussion of archetypes.
We've got a lot of great content on this myth Campfire Tales, and we will keep pointing you back to it. I'm going to go with a soldier.
All right. So you are going to be a soldier. That means you're basically kind of a fighter. You are the guy who stands on the front line and does combat things while the other people are sort of like scrambling to survive, or maybe you're holding the line while the spellcasters sort of figure out the message on the tomb before it crushes everyone. Things of that nature. So being a soldier, you get a +1 to either fighting or shooting.
I think I'm going to start with a +1 to fighting, just because. Yeah, just for starting out. Although, hopefully, being from Blackwall means I may also get some shooting in there. I do love the idea of the black powder weapons. But I'm going to start with a +1 to fighting here, and then I get Harvest of Bones, right?
Yeah. Soldiers also get a cool ability called Harvest of Bones, which is going to give you the ability to add bonus dice to an attack roll or to improve the damage of a critical hit. If you use this ability, though, the GM does get a point of threat. So soldiers tend to gain. It's you're drawing the attention of the enemy by being like kind of badass. It's kind of your. It's a cool trade-off for that ability, because you can use it every round. All it costs you is a simple action to use that, and then you get your cool bonus. All right, so you've chosen your swashbuckler. So the next, chosen your soldier, now swashbuckler.
Yeah,
I was reading ahead. Now you assign your attributes, and we have a number of attributes. You're going to have a total of 10 points to assign to your attributes.
And then 1 extra from being human, yes?
1 extra from being human, that's correct. So your first attribute is agility. Then you have charisma, constitution, intellect, which is your smarts and things like that, strength, will, and you also have, of course, your speed, which that's determined already by your race, and you don't get to increase that with attribute points. So that's actually 4 right now. Speed is sort of a special attribute, but you have 6 others. You have agility, charisma, constitution, intellect, strength, and will. And the maximum you can put is, I believe, 6.
6. All right. Well, I think I'm going to start off by putting 1 in all. So that brings me to 2. So good baseline. That gives me 5 points left.
Yeah, all of your attributes start at 1. So by putting 1 point into each one, you are now at a start. You were at a 2.
All right, let's bring Constitution and Strength up to 4 each, and then let's bring Will up to 3. So pretty average, but strong, tough, and a little bit stubborn.
And you say Will up to 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's gonna take the rest of your points and your free point from being a human. So there you go. And you have an agility of 2, charisma of 2, constitution of 4, intellect of 2, strength of 4, and willpower of 3. That doesn't seem too great, but you are a rank 1 novice character.
Right. I'm just stepping out into the arena. Yeah.
Journey. Yeah. All right. So now the next thing you're going to work on is you're going to work on your skills. And skills, unlike attributes, they start at 0. And your maximum is 8. But let's see, I think in character creation, it is going to be a maximum of 5. I need to make a note about that.
All right, and I have 12 points to play with, and I have 1 already in fighting.
Yes, correct. So when you assign skills, you have up to 12 points. Also, keep in mind the tree of learning.
Right.
So when you should probably pick your one you want to be the highest first, and that'll sort of determine how many extra skills you need to support it. The tree of learning says that if you have a skill at a high rank, like say if you have stealth rating 4, you have to have at least 3 other skills with a rating of 1. Because it's basically you have to have a foundation to develop skills higher. You need to have an understanding of many disciplines to be a true master of a particular skill.
Okay. So if I wanted fighting at 4 and shooting, say, at 3 to start, that'll have spent 6 of my points. But then I also need to make sure that I have at least 2 other skills with at least rating 1 in.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's do that. So that's 6. So that's half my points already. Oof.
Yeah.
Let's do 2 in athletics, 2 in healing, 1 in perception, and 1 in intimidation.
All right, so let's help me out here. So you were doing how many in fighting? 4?
Yep, total of 4 in so fighting at 4. So that's 3 plus the 1 that I started with as a soldier.
Correct. So now you're down to 9 points.
Okay, and then 3 in. Let's do 3 in shooting.
Okay.
2 in athletics. 6.
Yeah, athletics is pretty important for a soldier.
Yeah, it gives me 4 left, correct?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 4 left.
All right, let's do, and then let's do 1 in healing, intimidation, perception, and survival.
Okay. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different skills. Plenty to support your fighting of 4, which is your highest. And having 1 point in a particular skill may not sound like much, but actually you get to combine that with the attribute as well. And recall that most difficulties are going to be around 3. So if you have around 3 dice, which you're probably going to have in any one of your skills, even the ones that have only 1 rating in, you combine that with your attribute, you're going to have at least 3 dice for it. So you've got a decent shot of hitting a DN3 test for just about all of your actual skills. Now, the ones that you've put a little extra points into, like athletics and shooting, you're going to have a little bit better, chance at that. Plus, of course, there's things like serendipity and
Campfire points.
Campfire points that are going to give you more abilities to succeed. But I would say you're set up fairly well for a starting character. Now, you're not going to be amazing at anything except fighting, which you will have like 8 dice for, because you're like, wow.
Yeah, it's what my character is good at.
Yeah, fighting is associated with strength unless you're using a finesse weapon.
Right.
So as long as you are using something that is like that uses your strength, you're going to be rolling 8 dice to hit, which is really good for a starting character. 8 dice is plenty. That's a almost guaranteed hit on a minion and a decent chance for anything tougher than a minion when you start out. So hey, great. So now you have done your skills. Step 5 is to pick a talent. So this is kind of we've talked about talents before, sort of in general, and I think our pre-made characters for the Lost Barrow, one of them has a talent. Now you get to pick one from the list of talents, which the book is going to have, I think, at least 24 of these.
Awesome.
When it's all finished. But we have some here that you can select from.
Well,
is there any that catches your eye?
Oh, yeah. I think I'm definitely going to do Blade Dance.
That is the soldier's particular talent.
Yep.
And you qualify because you have a fighting of 4 and you were a soldier, which are the 2 prerequisites to pick it. And when you pick Blade Dance, you get to choose from one of 4 different options. It's kind of like a fighting style that helps define what your character is really good at. So what do you see that you like?
Defender. I am a sword and board fighter lover. Well,
in Myth, that's a fireplace poker and pot lid.
I'll take it. When I'm armed with
pot
a
lid is
shield
very good at defending other people.
or pot lid, allies that are adjacent to me increase their defense because I am constantly trying to interpose that pot lid, which I love.
Awesome. So you are, as a soldier, this is soldiers don't just get this. Like, you have to buy it with one of your upgrades to get a talent, unless you're a human, which you start with one. So that is your special thing for being a human, is you get Blade Dance. And all right, cool. So now you have selected that, and after you pick your talents, is one of my favorite parts is the background. So you have the choice here, because the game master can just let you pick one, or you can roll randomly to see what you get. There's 4 different categories. There's the origin category, there is the accomplishment category, the goal category, or the connection category. These indicate something that's really important to your character from their history, something that is kind of part of who they are. And we've gone over this again before in one of our episodes, but do any of those categories strike you as something important for this character?
I'm for right now, no, so I'm going to roll a d6 and see what I get. Does that work?
All right. Yeah, that's fine. For the purposes of this, since there's only 4 categories, roll a d6 and ignore a 5 or a 6.
All right. Or I will roll a d4.
Well, you can also do that.
All right. I got 2.
All right, so that would put you into the accomplishment category.
All right.
Which is interesting. This is going to give you a title when you we will figure out what the title is after we sort of discover what you want. Now, the rule says, the game here says, if you want, you can just kind of come up with, like, I already know what kind of character I've made. I already know what kind of history they've got. If you have in mind something that would earn you an accomplishment, that is what you can do. Or, again, if you feel like you just don't know, or you're interested to find out what could happen, you may roll randomly.
All right. Well, I rolled a d6 and I got a 3.
So you were involved in some sort of negotiation.
Okay.
Do you want to pick or roll from this turn?
I'm going to roll again. So is it another d6?
Yeah, it is. Everything's d6 for the most part, because this is a d6 game.
All right, d6. I got a 6.
Well, you negotiated a surrender. You convinced a defeated foe to surrender rather than fight to the death. This enemy was powerful and respected, but you talked them into standing down to be captured. Every day afterwards, you wonder if you did the right thing.
All right, so what if my title is the Merciful to start?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Because that could be both good and bad. That could be like, he's merciful. He gave the Black Prince of Thorn Crossing.
Right.
He gave the Black Prince of Thorn Crossing a pass when that man, like anyone else, would have hung him, but you gave him a pass. And that might also work against you too. It could be good for you. It could be bad for you.
Yeah. No, I like it.
Local lawmakers like, oh, but your title is now the Merciful, because you convinced a guy to surrender, and that's actually pretty cool. I dig it. I think that's a lot of fun. So now we get to the part about finishing touches, which is going to kind of determine who you are. Like, basically, what's your name? You said you're from Blackwall.
Yeah, let's go Haldren.
Haldren
the Merciful.
Haldren the Merciful. I dig it. So Haldren, you start with a fireplace poker and a pot lid because that's what fighters begin with. You're from Blackwall, and you negotiated the surrender of someone fairly dangerous or evil or something along those lines, but you managed to talk them down. So can you think of like some ways to tie that all together? Like, you're from Blackwall, you did this surrender, you're a soldier that is good at defending others.
I'm going to say that Haldren was definitely a member of like the Watch in Blackwall, and there was a rash of crimes, and I cornered the person who was burgling all of these homes, and I decided that I negotiated. She was going to attempt to jump from a tall building, to try and escape, and I instead of killing her, I was able to negotiate her surrender. Still don't know if that's the right way to go, but
well, according to the background, she was a dangerous enemy. She was not just she was not just a cat burglar. She was.
What if we went with she was cutting her way through the nobility. She had some sort of grudge.
There we go.
And there we go. Talking. All right.
Yeah, someone had a grudge against the nobility, committed murder, maybe even assassination. And
I think that she left a trail of bodies. Yeah.
Yeah, and so now she's sitting in a cell somewhere in Blackwall. But yeah, you're like, did I do the right thing?
Should I have just ended it? Yeah.
Yeah, because who knows? Maybe she's escaped. There's all kinds of.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a great hook for the GM to bring back at a later point.
Yeah, she's escaped from prison. You're like, oh damn it. So yeah, all right, cool. So Haldren the Merciful from Blackwall. Do you imagine that you're from? Because we've talked about the different areas of Blackwall before. Are you in the Warrens? Could you have been from the higher houses?
No,
you're humans.
Yeah, I think I grew up not in the Warrens, but I'm definitely from like the smithing district, right? The forges in the center, and I just didn't have the talent for it. And so, but being a blacksmith's son, I was still used to like picking up heavy things and setting them back down. And so they gave me a truncheon to start, and I picked it up and I brought it down, and then after this encounter with this mysterious woman, I decided the life of the Watch was not for me, and that there was probably better ways to be a hero in this world, and headed out into the wilds.
So what made you? So you decided you wanted to be a defender with your blade dance. What made you decide you wanted to be a defender on that particular choice? Why protect others with your shield? Your pilot.
In character or as a player?
Well, maybe both. I guess I was approaching it from an in-character perspective, but I also like to hear your player answer.
Oh, I definitely think he's sort of the eldest of several siblings, and so growing up in Blackwall on the edge of the Warrens, he was constantly stepping in to make sure that like his family and his siblings were safe. And so when he got his training, it just seemed like a natural choice, right? Muscular guy, wants to defend, comes from defending his family. Shield just feels right.
Okay, makes sense. Do you feel like he wants to join the Bright Legion or anything of that nature?
Not at this point. At this point, I put him in Blackwall because that's pretty far away from both the Bright Legion and the Bibliosofts. So I'd kind of wait and see sort of how his journey takes him.
So what's the player answer on the Defender?
Oh, I'm always drawn to that style of play in game. I love the idea of playing the person who is shielding and protecting the rest of his teammates to get things done.
Now, this is something we didn't actually track earlier on, and I kind of wish we had. But one of the things I really like doing, especially if a species gives you a particular bonus and you have to choose,
Yeah.
I often like to ask, like, why did you pick that particular thing to increase with your species bonus?
Yeah.
But it's something we could definitely work on.
And I think
you run me through. But
yeah, I think that's always a good question to have, maybe in finishing touches. Hey, why did you pick your skill bonus or your
Right.
your choice? I think for Haldren, I went with, in my mind, I put it in Constitution because having walked away from the comfort of city life, he found that he was a little bit better suited to the road just because being raised the way he was. He had a little bit more of that endurance to push through.
So if I were the GM running this game, the stories that I would be thinking of to involve Haldred in would definitely involve his title and that background with the assassin. Like that's instantly jumping out at me as like she escapes.
Oh yeah.
And now there's some noble that you like that's being threatened, and I would really kind of lean into that. Did you do the right thing kind of deal?
I mean that's the kind of stuff I love as a player. So I
would want to twist that knife pretty hard. But I also think I would want to involve you in Blackwall situations because that being your home city, there's a lot of really cool stuff going on there. That would be fun to get you involved with. And I like some of the things you said about like, my father's a blacksmith. I have lots of siblings. For example, if your group of players went to Blackwall and visited it, I think it would be a lot of fun if you were somehow maneuvered into visiting your home.
Yeah, the forge.
Well, actually, you're like your house even. And just be like, this is my brother Daryl, my other brother Daryl, like my sister Judy, my sister Catherine. It's like there's like 15 of them. You have a giant like family-sized meal that you put on the table, that kind of a thing. I kind of imagine it a little bit like maybe, like a big, almost Italian type family, where they have like a big gathering place and lots of big portions of food. And,
that's
sort of a hearty, close knit family.
Yeah, and the idea that you've got
they might be proud of you, they might not be proud of you.
Right, exactly, and the sign over the shop is like, right, Densom and son and daughter or something like that. Like my name's no longer on that the family business because I walked away. So
I don't know. I think again, like from a GM's perspective, I think there's more to get out of it, maybe from like almost a sitcom type style where it's like they don't really approve, but they haven't cast you out or anything yet.
Okay.
It's the starting point is of mild disapproval, right? I think is where I would start, and then kind of there'd be a spectrum from there to see how things go. But yeah, it's a cool character. He's got some interesting quirks. He'd be a lot of fun to start in a game and see where he goes.
Oh yeah,
you can only even those advanced character creation stuff, which one of my favorites is the central casting books from back in the day.
Oh yeah, I still have my central casting, the one where you would roll all of the background. Yeah.
Even those books can only go so far to give you a starting point, because really your character only starts to come to life when they interact with other people. They bounce off of other characters, they bounce off of other PCs, and depending on how the world is set up and the adventures that you go on is going to really shape you. But having a good starting point, and I think we have one.
I agree. Like I have a good idea of who he is, just kind of right off the bat. At least the starting point for where he's going to go.
Yeah, precisely. So this is this is a great place to begin, for example. All right, so I think that's going to take us to the end of this particular episode. Don't be afraid to check out the other things on the Ulysses International channel. We've got great shows from Bill Bridges doing Heretical Musings on Fading Suns. We've got Robert Aducci running you through just about everything having to do with Ulysses International.
That is a busy man.
Yeah, Aventuria channel. There's other things regarding the Dark Eye, plenty of that going on. And of course, JM the GM has multiple streaming shows.
Yeah, we run a tour on Tuesdays, and the Four Horsemen game is getting more and more intense. The one from when this airs, so the one from last week and then this week should be really interesting. And Tharkold maybe teaming up with Lapis for a bit. And then we've been running the Lost Barrow. If you're watching this when it goes live, tonight will be Act 3, the final act of the Lost Barrow. And then we'll be back to Fading Suns after that. And who knows? I mean, the games just keep... Ulysses keeps producing great games, and they keep wanting me to run them. So some of these campaigns will, reach their natural conclusion, and who knows what's next? More myth, more maybe Dark Eye. I don't know. Who knows?
There's many possibilities. So until next time,
keep telling stories.